All right, we are live on YouTube and on Zoom. Hugh, you can go ahead and take it away.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome to the 516 call for the DAC merchant processing presentation. Nice to have all of you on board here. I don't know how many people we have on yet, but it looks like quite a few. The first thing that I wanted to cover today was the importance of making sure that your contacts that you're bringing into the DAC agent portal to upload their application and their document. We're getting a tremendous amount of confusion that the prospect thinks that bank statements, like everybody gets for their banking every month, is what we're looking for. That is not what we're looking for. I don't even need those. I'll take them, but that's not important until we get past the stage of asking the prospect if they do want to get a new merchant account. When they tell us that they want to get a new merchant account, there's going to be a lot of documents that we're going to need, bank statements, maybe a driver's license, maybe a license of what they do, maybe their tax ID. It all depends on the risk category that we're dealing with, but the higher the risk, the more documents you're going to need in getting those things taken care of. Like, for instance, if we're talking to a CBD account, you're probably looking at 50 documents minimum, but the CBD accounts understand that they're going to see that kind of scrutiny, so they get them. But the importance of the statements is simply one thing. That is the existing merchant accounts report card on a monthly basis. Everything that we need to know at the bank is covered on that statement. We'll be able to see how much processing volume they do. And just for everybody, so you're educated on that, the processing volume is how much or how many dollars go through credit card processing in a month for that particular business. A lot of people in our industry, the common language is merchant account to a brand new prospect that might just be opening a business may not understand that. So we have to be very clear and call it credit card processing merchant account so that all of those words they understand. But the bottom line is they will be able to take credit cards in payment from their customers. What we gather from that statement is three things: the dollar amount that's going through the credit card processing currently. So let's say that that's, $10,000. And if you're, let's say it's 100,000, I'm sorry, let's use $100,000. If we see on that statement that they're paying 3,500 in fees all in for everything that's on that statement, the math is very easy. Divide the small number by the big number, you're at 3.5%. Depending on the category that they are in or the risk category on the banks that we are going to submit this deal to, they may say, all right, we may be able to take them from 3.5 down to 3.25. We may be able to reduce it because of their processing history. Therefore, the underwriters are all looking at the statements to say last 90 days, we don't see any problems with chargebacks. We see that they're flowing nicely. We see that their processing is going smooth. We can look at their volume month after month. One month might be 80, then 90, then 100. Everything's looking good. That's how the banks are going to evaluate that. So that one thing, those 3 month statements, is the most important thing you guys should be going after. If they don't want to give up the merchant statements, you can ask any business owner on this planet, how much do you pay your bank on a monthly basis for credit card processing? They know that number within $10. So if you get that number, you know that they're paying X amount of dollars, in this scenario, 3,500. If they aren't going to tell you the volume, then all you do is you take that dollar volume that they have. So let's say it's 3,500. We can guesstimate that it might be 3.5%. So you divide it by 3.5%. And you're going to get, hang on one second, I'm going to do the math here to make sure I'm not giving you wrong information. So if you do that math backwards with me, if you take 3,500 divided by 3.5%, make sure you put the percent sign in, you are going to come up with a number of 100,000. So you'll be educated and they'll be impressed because you'll say, hey, based on the fees you just told me you pay, you're guessing at what the rate is that you're paying. You're doing about $100,000 a month. Am I right? And they'll go, wow, how'd you know that? That's just doing the math backwards. If they know if they know those two numbers, the amount of fees that they're paying and approximately what they're paying, then we've got a guesstimate about what we can save them. From there, you want to express to them that depending on the category that you're in, we absolutely can save you money, whether it's 10% or 20%. I would keep it safe in that range. We can absolutely, I've been doing this 22 years. I have never seen a statement that we couldn't improve on. And it might not be a ton, but and depending on the risk category, we could do a lot. The second part on that, so on the statements end of it, make sure that you emphasize to existing merchants that you're calling on. Step number one is statements. If we don't get those, we can't move forward. You can tell me what you have, but I can't take it to the bank. I can give you an idea of what I'm going to save you, but until I see the real report card, we're not going to be able to communicate with underwriting to tell them the true story. And a lot of merchants are so darn busy these days, with their business that they don't take the time monthly to review their statements line by line by line by line. We'll do that for you. We'll find all of the little fees and all the little junk fees and all of the extra charges and all that jazz to come back with a great program for them and give them a good proposal on them moving forward with us. Another gigantic thing for them is them being DAC reps, they're going to get paid for bringing their merchant account to us. There aren't very many banks out there, processing banks, that are going to give a merchant off the street a referral fee for doing it. DAC is going to do that for you guys. So that is a huge factor. And then any DAC rep that brings a non-DAC rep merchant account to DAC, they're going to get paid on that one as well. That will give you guys from the building your business at DAC an added incentive to bring a person on and say, hey, if you're a DAC rep, you'd be getting paid, doing that. So that's another deal there on statements. So that's topic number one that I wanted to cover. Do you guys have any? We'll wait for the questions at the end, but the second part of this presentation, I want to talk about assessing a fee to a cardholder that is shopping at whatever store. It's called many things in the market: convenience fee model, cash discount model, dual pricing model, surcharging. All that kind of stuff is basically a store owner passing on, I'm going to use the highest one, 4% onto the cardholder when they buy something. So if you go into a store, and everybody on this call, I'm sure wherever you live, have gone into businesses and they say, hey, Bob, if you're going to use a credit card, we have to assess you a 4% fee for the convenience of using that card. We're going to give you an option. You can pay me cash or a check, or you can pay me with a card, debit or credit. That's the rule that you have to follow in credit card processing when you're doing dual pricing. You have to offer an option, and you have to put signage up that says, hey, if you're paying with credit card, it's going to be a 4% fee. If you pay us cash, no fee, you're good. So those are the two things that happen in dual pricing. Now, dual pricing, to any business owner, it's attractive because they are no longer going to have to pay their merchant services fees. So whatever that bill shows up, our banks are collecting all of those fees at the end of the month. We go into that pool of 4% money and pay their bill. That's what we do. So they don't get a bill, it's gone away. The big hesitation on that is that most merchants will say to you and to me, hey, I'm scared. I don't think my customers are going to like that, but I can tell you statistically across the country, and you guys can Google this. If you Google and ask, how many businesses are passing on the fee or using dual pricing? I think as of today, it's right around 15% of all businesses are doing it. 2 years ago, it was below 1%. So it is gaining traction. And the fear factor is that if you're on Main Street, I don't want to be the first restaurant to do it. I don't want to wait for Bob down the road to do it, see how bad he loses, then I'll do it. I can tell you from the accounts that I've personally started up that you will get some kickback in the beginning, but the people are going to be used to it because the convenience of using a credit card is the card holder's convenience. The business incurs that expense. So when they explain it that way, that, hey, we've got higher costs because of the way the economy is today, inflation, higher workers' wages, higher insurance, higher gas prices, higher energy prices, all of those, we're having to cover those. We aren't passing those on to you. But on the merchant side of things, we have to pass it on. You don't have to use a credit card, just pay cash or a check. So that's the second piece of getting that. So when you're talking to somebody, when you figure out what they're spending on that $100,000 example, if you're spending $3,500 a month times 12, we're looking at a $42,000 savings. Most business owners will pay attention to that. They may not want to go with it, but we can set them up on a terminal or in a POS system that if you kick this off on June 1st and it works great and you aren't getting any kickback, you're happy. They're happy. We aren't getting any complaints. If they go 2 months down the road and it's really a disaster, which I have not seen yet, we can switch them right back. We just reprogram the terminal and they go back to the way they were processing before. They pay the fees, and that's the way that goes. So then one last topic, and then we'll kick her open to questions. The other topic that David and I and everybody, Tyler and Morgan and all the people at DAC have been talking about, how do you approach a warm contact, meaning a family friend, a acquaintance that you know real well, or a business that you go in all the time? It's still the same process, but make it short and sweet and say, hey, I'm working with a company that can save you a lot of money, whether you stick with traditional credit card processing or you go to the dual pricing model, which eliminates your fees altogether. Then ask them, hey, what are you paying? And while you're sitting around at dinner or you're at a pool or you're on a lake or you're at a golf course, hey, how much you paying a month? And they tell you, then you can just say, I can make that all go away. If you can get me your statements, I'll send it to Hugh. He'll review it. He'll get back with us and we'll show you what's going on. So don't go into all of the stuff that we're talking about here. Just simply ask, how much credit card volume are you doing? What's your rate and what are your fees? You really don't even need to know their rate, just volume and fees. Then you can figure it out. And if they don't give you the volume, just use that math, divide the fees by the approximate percentage of 3.5. You're going to be high on that number, but you'll be pretty darn close. So that's it for this week from me. But if you guys have questions, I can take a few here for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so.
All right, we've got a hand up here. Christopher Sanchez, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hugh, thank you so much for sharing your time. I have two quick questions. First question is, I had a phone call last week, business to business. They were explaining to me that they are processing $100,000 per order.
Okay.
Is that an area we would look at, business to business? I know we've been talking about commercial, restaurants and what have you, but I just haven't heard that mentioned.
Yeah, we can take anything from 0 to 25 million a month, whatever you got.
Awesome. Second question is,
on that commercial one, you want to, absolutely, if they're doing that kind of number, then I know for sure they have merchant statements that if we get that, and then I can lay it out for them and we can get on a call with them right away.
Awesome. The second question is in regards to casinos on Indian reservations.
We can do them. That is a long road, but I have multiple carriers that can do it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And it looks like that was our only hand up, so
Okay.
we are good to
All
go.
right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, again, emphasis on getting the statements. And when you guys are instructing, and ladies, when the folks for DAC are instructing people to go to the DAC portal to fill out the application and complete that so that I get notified and Tyler gets notified so that we can contact them. If they do not have statements, we have to know what type of business you are. What do you anticipate your sales being on credit cards? And, how quickly do you need a merchant account for the new guys? Because if they're just kicking tires and they're just trying to learn about merchant services, I don't have a problem talking to them, but my time is very valuable, just like yours. I don't really want to answer all those questions. I would have you guys direct them to these videos and say, hey, if you're just trying to learn about how to do this stuff, here's 3 videos. Look at those. And that would be it.
All right, thank you so much, Hugh. Everyone, if
Yep.
you have any other questions that come up, you can always send them to support@davidallencapital.com. And if we need to loop you in, we will. And we'll see you next Thursday, 11:30.